tell, you could say that 10,000 times and it still wouldn't be enough.
It fires me up, man.
I love it. Say it one more time.
Shake and bake!
Does that feel good?
Yeah, it rhymes. They're both verbs.
Awesome.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the latest and greatest podcast in the world, the Shaving Points Podcast. My name is Jay May. You can find me on Twitter at JMay56. Joined, as always, by my co-host, Quentin Crisco. How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful, Jay. Doing wonderful. After a wonderful derby that won me some money.
Wild
and
derby.
Just feeling good.
Absolutely insane derby. What was he like in sixth place with 10 furlongs to go?
It was hilarious listening to the announcer just like not even calling him as he's just because he was just focused on the guy on the what was it, Epicenter that was in the lead. And this horse is just like creeping up on him, and boom, right before the finish line.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. I did not bet on it, unfortunately. You did, so you won a nice little 100 to 1 odds
100
there?
to 1. Yeah, I would have put it out on the podcast.
It's crazy that you had It's crazy that you had $1,000 on it too. Like, what a fucking win!
Life-changing money. You know, it's great.
Yeah, you do have a wedding coming up, so there goes all that winning. But that's okay. But incredible race. Little UFC. Rose lost her title in one of the worst fights I've ever seen in my life. 67 combined punches thrown or strikes thrown in a 5-minute round fight. So, yeah, pretty rough considering Gaethje and Oliveira, the very next fight, lasted 1 minute and 37 seconds, and there were 73 strikes landed in 1 minute and 37 seconds. So, not a whole lot to say about that one. And then we had another big upset. Canelo goes down in a burning ring of fire to Bivol.
Yeah, I don't know much. I honestly don't know a whole lot about the boxing match. I didn't read much up on it, so I don't have a whole lot to add.
Kyrgyzstan stand up for the boy. No, I didn't watch it. I was watching UFC. I honestly thought Canelo was just going to roll him, so very good. Good for him. But this week, we're talking a little NFL. We're going to stay on the division track, and we are going with the AFC North this week. Defend the North, defend the wall. They're our last hope against the White Walkers, so we have to hope this division really, really stands out this year. Pretty interesting division, all in all. We have former the Super Bowl appearancers, and then we have a new quarterback with the Browns who may or may not still be going to prison, who may or may not ever play football again, that they mortgage their future for. We have the Steelers with 2 Mitchell Trubiskys. And then you have the Ravens. You have the Ravens go and piss off their MVP quarterback, trading away his best friend. So, yeah.
Wait, so Marquise Brown wanted out of there, though, right? He wanted to get away from Greg Roman.
Yeah, he said they weren't showcasing his talent enough, but
which is probably true. He's a vertical threatening offense that doesn't like to go outside the hashes, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whose job it is to keep Lamar informed, but apparently he was blindsided by it. And if you have an MVP quarterback, I mean, it's not Hollywood Brown's job to keep him informed. So somebody in that organization's got to be like, "Hey, bro, he gone."
Yeah.
Somebody's got to tell him.
Like, yeah, that's what Schefter's
little heads up, so he doesn't. Yeah. Everybody finds out by Schefter. But starting it off with the reigning AFC champions, the Cincinnati Bungals, Skyline Chili for days. Historic franchise. What we got? What we got about the Bengals?
Dude, on paper, this team is stacked.
They got a lot better in the offseason. They
are, like, that defense is already pretty stacked. They got to get Eli Apple out of the lineup. Cam Taylor-Britt might take that spot. It's tough to know until training camp, but they used the number 60 pick on Cam Taylor-Britt out of Nebraska, I believe. I'd expect him to compete pretty heavily with Eli Apple on that outside corner spot. The rest of this defense is pretty nasty. I mean, they don't have a marquee name. that you really look for. But adding Daxton Hill back there at safety is going to be big for them. I'm
I
interested
like
to see
Daxton Hill a lot. I love that pick.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do at nickel between him and Mike Hilton, like who ends up taking the nickel snaps. Yeah, I mean, you got the strength with Mike Hilton there already. You might just stick with that, but
yeah, and then you have one of the best young quarterbacks in the league, and Joe Burrow slinging that rock for you with T. Higgins, who's incredible, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase, who exploded, came onto the scene and just exploded all over everybody.
It's quite a way of putting that.
Yeah,
but yeah, dude. I mean,
showed no mercy.
If their O-line improved a lot, honestly, I think it got kind of understated. Yeah, if Lyle Collins can stay on the field, like Jonah Williams wasn't a problem last year. He honestly hasn't been a problem in his career. It's just he missed his rookie year, and then so his second year he played more like a rookie.
Alex Kapp was big.
Yeah, Alex Kapp is a big get. Ted Karras will be interesting because he's really only done well with the Patriots. Like he left the Patriots for Miami 2 years ago, struggled in Miami, went back to the Patriots and did well again. So I'm interested to see how that works out for them there. And like you said with Lyle Collins, if he stays on the field, he's a very good right tackle. It's just a question of can he stay on the field.
He's a good run blocker too, so maybe Joe Mixon can keep it rolling. He had a pretty good season last year, even with who's their second running back that got some carries?
Oh, Samaje Perine.
Samaje.
I still have nightmares about him from Oklahoma against Texas Tech.
Yeah, there's a sweet little girl in Norman that has nightmares from Joe Mixon from her time at Norman, Oklahoma.
Absolutely does.
Broken face. People don't talk about it.
They should. But I mean, Joe Mixon supposedly does a lot of good stuff in the community now, but that doesn't change the fact that he punched a girl in the face at a bar
and broke her face. But to be fair, if the story is true about what actually happened, I'd probably punch her in the face too. But that's neither here nor there. You can't do that. Absolutely can't do that. But yeah, if you spit on me and call me the worst name to call a young African American male, kind of get what's coming to you at that point. But
yeah. So moving on, a big question for me with them will be how Jackson Carman performs in his second year at left guard. That's the obvious black hole here on their O-line. As far as on paper.
What about Hayden Hurst?
Well, that's not O-line. That I was getting to Hayden Hurst. But Jackson Carman coming into his second year, I'd expect if Ted Karras is playing well at center, I'd expect Jackson Carman's play to come up a notch just from having a better unit around you. Yeah, I mean, you can speak to this more than I can, Jay. The O-line, like an individual on the O-line gets better by having better people around them and having better communication with them. And like, what do you think?
Yeah, being cohesive as an offensive line is almost better than having five studs that don't mesh very well. You can have a mediocre to average offensive line, but if everybody on the O-line is cohesive and everybody knows their job and knows their role and are good at communicating, and they know from as soon as you walk up to the line what they're going to do, where the slides are going to be, who's going second level and everything. I mean, you can play at the entire offensive line as a whole can play at like an all-pro level with five guys that won't even sniff an all-pro. But then you'll look at some of the protections and everything. You're like, this guy never gets touched, but nobody on the line's good. Like,
yeah.
Kind of like the Rams last year. Like, nobody on that line was very good, but yet, like, Matt Stafford rarely got touched. Like, and you had, Whitworth on the bookend. He was pretty good. Alex Mack at center was solid for him, but like all in all, that O-line was just kind of pieced together, and they all just meshed very well, and it worked for them. So, yeah. Cohesion is, in my opinion, the biggest thing on O-line, rather than having just five maulers or just studs for you that don't communicate well and are all out there just like bulldozing people, but then the linebacker runs right past them because they missed their assignment. Like,
yeah, it's only as good as the communication that goes with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
So on to the other weakness that I see on paper, which if you're looking at this graphic and you're seeing the linebackers and going, why aren't they calling linebackers a weakness? I do not trust PFF when it comes to linebacker grades at all. They are very confusing about just like you'll see guys like Darius Leonard and Roquan Smith or Fred Warner getting bad grades as linebackers, and then some guy you've never heard of getting very good grades. Like, it's just linebackers probably, I would assume on film, if you're sitting there watching film and trying to grade it and not knowing the responsibilities that they were asked to do, the linebacker is a very difficult position to grade. I think safety is too, but it shows up in safety as well with PFF grades, but with linebackers especially, I feel like all the best linebackers in the league are in the 60s.
No, yeah, I agree 100%. Don't really. That whole defense could be very good, like you were saying. I love Chidobe Awuzie. He's one of my favorite players in the league. I loved him in Dallas. Loved him last year. I love Daxton Hill coming in as safety. Master Bates up there at free safety.
Bates is a monster, man.
Very, very good. So
Logan Wilson in the middle is a very, very good linebacker. I was very impressed with watching him whenever I saw the Bengals play.
And a very, very tough AFC. I mean, you look at this division, and I like them a lot to repeat here. Division's gonna be tough. It's always tough. Everybody in that division plays tough, but don't really love the Ravens. Don't really love the Steelers. And I've said it. I was saying it last week. I just don't see any scenario Deshaun Watson plays very much this season, if any.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this and I say, there's only one position that Cincinnati didn't upgrade at or maintain, and that's tight end. And Hayden Hurst has been on the breakout list for 3 straight years, I feel like.
Any day now. But, I mean, having Joe Burrow there, who was their tight end last year?
CJ Uzoma, who was also on the breakout list for like 3 straight years before last year.
Had a pretty good season last year.
Well, yeah, I think getting the pressure taken off you from Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd helps a tight end a lot. Like, if you can just run fast in a straight line, you can do well in this offense because of those guys.
So, yeah, they kind of got screwed by the Tom Brady news because forever Rob Gronkowski was like, I'll never play with anybody except Tom Brady. I'll never play with anybody except Tom Brady. Then Tom Brady retires. Then Gronk's like, I'll play with Joe Burrow. And they're like, oh, shoot, we're getting Gronk. You're probably getting him pretty cheap. I mean, he's not what he used to be, but he's a huge red zone threat and big third down guy. He's not going to block very well for you this late in his career. But would have been a huge get for him. And then Tom Brady's like, I changed my mind. And then Gronk's like, okay.
The next time Gronk joins us on the show, we got to ask him about that flip-flop.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to him yesterday, and he was like, it wasn't a flip-flop. Tom's my guy. I was like, I get it, Gronk.
But, I mean, I think Hayden Hurst, I mean, he's athletic and he's big. So
Speaking of Tom Brady, did you see that contract?
No. Oh, the Fox one?
10 years, $375
I knew we were missing something in the pre-show. That's what we needed to talk some about. Let's talk a little about that. That money is insane. That's more money than he's made in the last, 5 years in the NFL.
$37.5 million a year.
Probably 10 years. He probably hasn't. It's a 10-year contract, isn't it?
Yeah, and they don't even have Super Bowl rights. They're just paying that.
Better hope he's better than Drew Brees at it.
I mean, they lost Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, so I mean, he's going to be their new. There's going to be their premier broadcast, I guess. I mean, is Drew Brees doing the Fox this next year?
He was slated to. I'm not sure what's going on now. One thing that is really mysterious about these announcer contracts is I'm sure there's a lot of outs built into them that we don't know about. You know, I mean, why would we? It doesn't fit in a Twitter character. It's a ton of legal language, but I'm sure Fox has a ton of outs in all of these.
Yeah, but
it's not like an NFL contract where there are. Well, I shouldn't say that because NFL contracts have a lot of outs too. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of money, but
yeah.
Now all of a sudden,
did you hear why it's being announced and signed now?
I did not hear why.
So if Tom Brady does not make the Super Bowl, he can call the Super Bowl.
Fox doesn't have the Super Bowl next year.
Or the NFC Championship then.
Yeah. Would he do that though?
I don't know. Would he make a lot of money doing it?
So what? So if let me get this straight. So what if he comes back and plays again the next year?
He's a free agent. He can do what he wants as a free agent.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess. But then would his 10 years at Fox start right then? So would he get his first $37 million?
I'm sure there's something worked out in the contract as far as that would go.
Watch him do that like every year and miss the playoffs every year and just get another $37.5 million while still playing football every year for like 3 more years, and then it ends up being like 7-year contract at Fox because it's like
he just found a way to beat Kirk Cousins in the Football Business Hall of Fame.
Oh man, I think Kirk Cousins is still undefeated there. Speaking of Kirk Cousins, I had a guy on Twitter telling me that anybody could have won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay the year Tom Brady won, and it was just the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
The year before, with a very similar roster, Jameis Winston threw 35 touchdowns,
30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
Oh, that's right. That was that year.
30 for 30. But I mean, the team was very good. I mean, there probably could have been a few quarterbacks that won a Super Bowl with that team, but to like act like Tom Brady wasn't even like part of the reason why they won. Like he was trying to like argue with me that they won in spite of Tom Brady, and I was like, okay, like
yeah, I don't know about that. Looking back at the Bengals schedule here, though, they do got some tough games. Like they got 3 teams in Atlanta, Carolina, and the Jets who are like were in the doldrums last year. I can't put the Jets as a potential playoff team yet, just until I see their rookies perform. So
they play. In my opinion, they play the 2 easiest divisions in football, or 2 of the easiest divisions in football in the AFC East and the NFC South.
Is the AFC East that easy anymore?
I mean, compared to the rest of the AFC, like I mean, it's either second or third.
Yeah, I guess I can agree with that. But I mean, like Buffalo and New England makes it a pretty tough division in the first place.
And then Miami could be good, and
New
York could
and
be
that's the difference with Miami and the Jets to me. Miami got a lot of veteran talent, guys who know what they're going to be from the second they step in that facility.
So is the AFC East better or worse than the AFC North? You have Buffalo, Cincinnati. It's a wash. Then you have Baltimore, New England. I take Baltimore.
Really?
Pittsburgh, Miami. I'll probably take Pittsburgh. Cleveland, Jets. I'll probably take Cleveland.
I'd take New England over Baltimore in Foxborough.
I'm just talking for a totality of a season.
I think I'd take New England just because I think they're going to be better at home, which I think is going to drive them more wins.
I think it's super close, and I think they have the better quarterback in Baltimore.
They do.
But other than that, I think it's pretty even.
Yeah, it is pretty even.
I'm not talking about wins or losses. I'm just talking about better team, because you can be a better team with a worse record.
Talking about Madden rating. I think you're right. Like they'd both be like a solid 87.
And so the AFC East is the 3rd best division, which
that's fair. I mean, so they only play 6 teams who were in the playoffs last year, which is light.
Yeah,
they just play a lot of teams in that middle area, you know?
Yeah, I mean, who knows what Carolina's going to be? Carolina made a lot of moves. Carolina could be good if they figure out quarterback. I
don't see it.
I
think they're firmly in the Matt Nagy
can do something.
Yeah, I think Carolina's firmly in the Matt Nagy 2021 Bears mode of we should have fired this guy a year ago, and what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, they very well may be, but I mean, I like a lot of what they did in the offseason. I like a lot of their additions. They didn't do anything at quarterback. But, I mean, I think that's a team that's set up to where, like, the next coach that comes in, if they get a quarterback in there, it's very well set up. Atlanta, I don't know what Atlanta is. I have no idea.
And
And then
me and you both. I mean, Desmond
Tampa-
Ritter's going to be starting there by week 5. So
maybe. I mean, Marcus Mariota might be good. Who knows? But
yeah, he's going to get hurt, and then
Tampa
Ridder will
should be
come
good.
in. Tampa
then-
will be good.
then I have no idea what New Orleans is going to be. I mean,
Yeah,
they went out and drafted like they're in win now mode, and I'm
I know.
so is Jameis your quarterback? Is Andy Dalton your quarterback? Is Taysom Hill your quarterback? Like
All 3.
all 3. Is Michael Thomas ever going to play again? Is Alvin Kamara ever going to play again? I mean, he might be going to prison.
I forgot about that.
Like,
And yeah, the Cincinnati schedule, I just do not have a good feel for it. It's so much gray area. Right now.
I mean, once the schedule comes out tomorrow, we'll have a better feel for it.
Yeah,
But they do play Dallas. I'm shocked that they're not opening the season against Dallas. I thought for sure they would.
yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm assuming the Rams are going to open against Baltimore and LA. That would make sense. And then I figured the Sunday night game would be Dallas-Cincy.
I think that would have been a safe bet until today.
Yeah, and Dallas has the Jaguars for a noon game, so somebody pissed somebody off.
I guess so.
It's the first time we haven't opened up in primetime, or we as in the Dallas Cowboys, in probably 10 years.
Right after making the playoffs, too.
Oh, we make the playoffs pretty often. We just don't win very often.
What was the last time before last year?
I mean, it's every other year, so like we make the playoffs half the
Yeah.
time.
So, like, they were prime time after not making the playoffs half the time, though. And then a year after making the playoffs as like a big season where they did really well, they're not in prime time. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
They didn't make the playoffs because Dak broke his leg in 3 pieces, then slammed it against the ground to try to put it back into place to go out there and win them was a game. But yeah, I mean that was kind of understandable. I mean, Super Bowl champs, Dak's back, America's team, all that bullshit, and then go out there and put on a hell of a show for everybody, only to lose.
Yeah,
typical Cowboy fashion. So
what do you think of these odds here?
The odds,
so since he was plus 220 to win the division, 225.
I like that. I like that a lot. 2-1 odds. Give it to me.
Yeah, and then they were, I think, minus 100 to make the playoffs, which I think you're safe. Or minus 140 to make the playoffs. Here we go. We got the graphic back.
Yeah.
Plus 1075 for AFC champs. Plus 1950 to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know if I would like anything other than winning the division.
Yeah,
this is another division, kind of like we talked about last week. I don't know if 2 teams might come out of this division, but
I actually really like them at plus 200 to win the division.
Yeah, I like them.
I'm taking that bet.
I don't think I would lay the juice for minus 142 on playoffs because
no.
I mean, it's such a hard division that usually like you're gonna have 3 teams that are like 8-7 or 8-9. Excuse me. I still can't get over 17. I can't do math on 17 games, but yeah, I mean, you're gonna have 3 teams around 500, and then the Browns are gonna be at 1-16 with no Deshaun Watson. Amari Cooper's gonna be pissed. Everybody's gonna want out, and they mortgage their future for a guy that'll never see the field. So,
yeah. I mean, I think plus 200 is great value here for the Bengals.
Yeah, love it. Hey, there we go. Cowboys made playoffs 14, 16, 18, 21. So yeah, just about every other year. Chris Reigns knows.
Yeah, Chris Reigns always knows. All right. Who we got up next here?
Hey, Chris, you think the Warriors can come back? They're only down by 44 in the third quarter. Let me know. So we got the Cleveland Browns, kind of alluded to them a little bit. Playoffs NA to win the division plus 183. So they have better odds to win the division than Cincinnati does, which makes no sense to me.
No.
So you got Deshaun Watson coming in. You have Jacoby Brissett coming in. You have Baker Mayfield wanting out.
Hoping he gets out.
Yeah, I mean, but if Deshaun Watson doesn't play, and they just tell Baker like you're the starter, like, and Baker says like no, I'm not. Do they play Jacoby Brissett and pay Baker Mayfield is what $28.5 million guaranteed or whatever he makes, being number 1 overall pick and 6-year or 5th-year option?
I mean, I feel like you kind of like they can't get out of the 5th-year option now, can they? Like,
No.
I don't understand why they held on to it.
Yeah, I mean, well, they gave it to him at the beginning of last year.
Right, but you can rescind it.
At what point?
It was probably after the Watson trade. Like, the deadline to rescind it was probably before the Watson trade happened.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, who knows? I mean, on their additions, you did not include Amari Cooper, which makes sense because he's not very much of an addition anyway.
The site that I pulled these in from didn't include trades. I just missed that one. I included some other trades, but like I must have missed that one.
They signed Jakeem Grant.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at this receiver core, and the receiver core is not very good.
Dude, I mean, I'll be blatantly honest here. This team got worse, aside from getting a better quarterback who has some serious off the field issues. Like,
and he has accuracy.
This team
issues.
got a lot worse.
Yeah,
in my eyes.
I mean, Amari Cooper is going to excel as the number 1 in an offense when you don't have when he's the focal point of offense like he was his first year in Dallas. I think he'll be just fine. He's just not very good in a team where there's multiple options because he doesn't do anything overly special to like separate himself from other guys on the field. But he's just very consistent, can run every route, has the speed to take the top off the defense. So, I mean, if Deshaun Watson plays, they might be all right. They still have Nick Chubb. I mean, they're going to have a good running game. Offensive line still good, not great.
I mean, they had to cut J.C. Treader because of Baker Mayfield's contract, and that's huge to me. Because he's a Pro Bowl center. Like, that completely, like, you still got Wyatt Teller, who's very good. You still got Conklin. You still got Bitonio. Jedrick Wills hasn't been as good as advertised coming in the league, but he's still been solid. But J.C. Treader was the motor of that O-line. You know, obviously he was the center. He made the calls. He was the guy keeping everyone on their P's and Q's, and he's gone now. They did draft one
of my favorite receivers in the draft, and David Bell out of Purdue. Absolutely love David Bell.
Steal.
And technically, as of right now, Jarvis Landry's still on this team. Like, him and Baker Mayfield both. It's like, I mean, are they there or are they not there? Like,
I wouldn't expect Landry to be there week 1.
No,
and I do really like Donovan Peoples-Jones. I just behind those two, they don't have a whole lot. I mean, David Bell's a 3rd-round rookie. I mean,
I like Jakeem Grant a lot, but like,
not in a featured role.
he's a change of pace type guy. He's a great 4th receiver.
Yeah. It's like, they still got a solid O-line, even putting Nick Harris in there at center. We'll see how he does. They still got some decent receivers.
They paid
still a monster.
They paid Denzel Ward historical money.
I mean, he earned it.
He did earn it, but will he live up to it? It's going to be hard to.
It's tough for a DB to ever live up to that money, I think. But
in
most fans' eyes, I think, because it's just, if you're not getting interceptions, people don't notice you.
Yeah, I mean, Stephon Gilmore and Darrelle Revis are like the two that come to mind. It's like, oh yeah, they were worth it.
Yeah. Having Newsom across from him is really good too. If Newsom can stay healthy.
And having Myles Garrett rushing the passer helps.
Myles Garrett is their defensive line. Straight up.
That's all you need.
They're just counting on Myles Garrett being a monster and hoping Elliott and Taven Bryan can do something in the middle, and Stephen Weatherly can, beat one-on-ones.
So they have a linebacker named Taki, which is a very good name.
It's an outstanding name.
So they got that going for them.
Hey, Awusa Koromo is a monster too.
It's a great name
at their weak side backer. The dude can play.
So they have some
as long as their defensive line
linebackers.
can keep the offensive line off of the linebackers, they'll be fine.
They have great names at linebacker, if anything. If nothing else, they have great named linebackers. They let Austin Hooper go, and now we finally get to see, like, is David Njoku worth a top 10 pick out of Miami? Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, Njoku put together a nice season last year.
Very athletic. He can do a lot. But for what they use on for draft capital, you got to do something.
So I'm really interested to see how this third round guy they picked, Alex Wright out of UAB, how he does. Because he's athletic. He's very good at UAB against, FCS competition. But, like, if he can do something in the pass rush, their D-line gets a lot of help. Same with Perry and Winfrey. I think that was a very good pick at 108. But he's a guy with some kind of questionable work ethic, too, I believe, which doesn't really seem to work out in Cleveland that often. But
no, I think they had a pretty solid draft all in all. And, like, they have a solid team. But, like, we're sitting here, and, I mean, it all falls on Deshaun Watson.
I think they had a monster roster last year that's going to be hard to live up to unless Deshaun Watson comes in and plays MVP football for you.
Which he could. But he also could not. He hasn't played football in over a year. He's on a team and a system that he doesn't really know. So we'll see. Some key differences in their schedule compared to Cincinnati's. They do get Houston, which is nice for them. And they do get who else? New Orleans,
Washington.
No, yeah, they got Washington out of the AFC or NFC East, and then who are the other different games?
Jets were on there. New Orleans were on there. Out of the West,
should be
Chargers.
Oakland, isn't it? Oh, Chargers. They got Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers.
So that kind of sucks.
Which Chargers are a tough one. I mean, that's a tough third place team to be catching.
Best roster on paper in the NFL, probably. So yeah, schedule. I just don't know what to think about this team. I probably won't touch anything about the.
You can't. You can't even get playoff odds on them right now.
Yeah, I probably won't even touch them for. I mean. Maybe if their win total's like above 9.5, I'll probably take the under. Just betting that Deshaun Watson doesn't play.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's it. Honestly, I don't know that you will even get a win total for them on some books until the Deshaun Watson stuff is figured out.
Yeah, with Deshaun Watson, I would expect their win total to be 9.5.
Yeah.
Maybe 9, maybe 8.5, the lowest, but I don't think it'll be higher than 10.
Yeah, I mean, so let's think. Like, say that Deshaun Watson's out 6 weeks, so that leaves 11 games. Can they win 9-10 games in that span?
Well, so if he's out 6 weeks, can Jacoby Brissett win you 3 games?
Yeah, a lot of it will depend on the timing.
Who they play?
I think I've said on here, if I'm the NFL, I'm giving Deshaun Watson 10 games across 2 years. First 5 games this year, first 5 games next year, just to make Cleveland feel it.
That would be rough.
Maybe I didn't say it on here. Maybe I said it someplace else.
I've never heard that before.
That's what I'd do.
That's crazy. If anything, just
I think it's justified.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm just like being way too harsh here, but I think that is 100% justified.
I mean, spreading it over 2 years, I think would be a little, because at that point, it's like, why don't you just suspend 10 games and then pick and choose which games he doesn't want to play? Like,
don't trade for the guy. Set the precedent.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, but then that would, I don't know. I feel like you're setting a precedent that like you can never come back from at that point.
I'm fine with that.
But Roger Goodell's also
don't trade for a guy with like 30 pending sexual assault charges against him and give him $80 million guaranteed or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I mean, I think just don't let him play until we get the facts. We need to get Alex Jones in there to get the facts.
Oh God.
Uh, find out what's really going on.
No one's gonna find the facts like that guy.
I got the receipt. I got the papers right here in my hand. Right, Roger Goodell. It smells like sulfur from the lizard people.
All right, moral of the story: just avoid the Browns. Just don't bet them until you have more clarity. It's pretty clear to just stay away, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with Chris Raines. I don't think my biggest thing was like I don't spreading out a punishment over two, unless it's like 34 games and they suspend him for 2 full seasons. Like, but I think it would just be outrageous to give him 10 games, 5-5. Like,
I'm all for it, but I'm
because then you still
maybe I'm just too aggressive here.
5 games in a 17-game season, then you give him if he wins the Super Bowl that year and then comes back and wins the Super Bowl again in back-to-back years after being suspended for 5 games each season, the NFL looks worse in that aspect, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nah, I think he's going to win a Super Bowl there either way. If I'm being honest,
He's going to win a Super Bowl in Cleveland.
You sell your soul to the devil, you're going to get what you want, but it might not be as good as you wanted.
Who sold their soul? Deshaun Watson or the Browns?
The Browns.
I don't know if he's a sell your soul type of guy. Maybe better. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy how much they gave up for him and how much they paid for him. Like, do you think they even like tried calling like who else is a good young? I guess he is about the only one that you could even potentially.
Could have gotten Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I mean, he almost won the MVP one year.
No one ever talks about it.
No one ever talks about it. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, what? So what if they would have offered that trade to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers?
I don't think Green Bay is going to trade Rodgers.
Really? For that?
I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I don't think they would have.
Yeah, I just think it's for how much they gave up and like how much they were willing to pay him on top of that. Like maybe like just throw a flyer out on somebody. I mean, I'm spacing on quarterbacks right now for some reason, but yeah,
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. Because I mean, Justin Herbert maybe, but I mean, Chargers aren't going to do that. Like, I mean, I guess I mean
it would have to be an older guy.
An older guy,
like Russ. They could have gone after Russ with that package.
Yeah, but
Russ had the no trade.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Deshaun had the no trade too. He'd already
probably could have gotten Tua.
Yeah, this is Deshaun Watson's 3rd NFL contract, and he's played 3 full seasons.
Yeah. I've never even thought about that. You're right. How did this guy manage that?
I don't know. Maybe he's been on the phone with Kirk's cousin.
Clearly, he might be making a bid for the NFL Business Hall of Fame pretty soon.
And he got paid every bit of his contract last year because he wasn't suspended or anything. He was just not playing.
No, one thing I do wonder a little bit, and it's probably a little different with the quarterback position, but like, I don't know if you've ever heard NFL guys talk about like the calluses, being like used to taking hits and like their body's ready for it because they've been hit. Like, I almost wonder if Watson's going to be due for an injury because he's been away from football for so long. He hasn't gotten hit in so long.
Yeah, maybe not. Injury like a broken. I mean, I would see a soft tissue injury more than anything.
Yeah.
Just your body not being in game shape, like the hits and stuff like that. I mean, your body gets used to that kind of contact pretty quickly. I think it's going to be the sudden movement that you can't train for. It's going to be like just the cutting on a dime or something like especially the kind of stuff that he does on the football field.
Yeah, he gets wild out there.
you can't simulate that in a drill. I mean, it's just natural. And I could see something like that where he goes to make a cut and his knee's just gone.
Yeah,
But
it'll be interesting.
will be interesting. So we'll see if he plays. That's a very interesting team. All right. So who we got next? Cupcake. Ooh, Blitzburgh. All right.
Steel City, the Steelers.
The Steelers, the Yinzers. So we got Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. We got Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback.
Now, who's going to win this competition, Mitch or Mitch?
Yeah. Najee Harris, who was he good last year?
He was pretty dang good last year. Running behind an O-line that was not very good.
See, that's kind of what I thought. But then I was like, I don't know if Najee Harris is good or not. We'll see. Freiermuth, very good.
Yeah,
And
Freiermuth looks like a monster.
Mitchell Trubisky loves throwing to the tight end, and so does Mitchell Trubisky. So he should have a big season. Deontay Johnson is sometimes good.
So this is a really interesting element with the Steelers.
Chase
They
Claypool
have
is
a
sometimes
bunch
good.
of guys who, or I should not bunch, but they have multiple guys who are very good deep downfield. And Mitch Trubisky, either one of them, they might not be great throwing downfield, but they're better than Ben has been the last few years.
Yeah, Ben's been awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Like they have horses in the wide receiver room that they can't tell go deep because they couldn't throw it there.
Sonny Daniels at guard is going to help that run game out a lot. Who is Miller?
Anthony Miller.
Anthony Miller's their third wide. I thought that was Anthony Miller, but I was like, "There's no way he's."
Well,
their third
they
wide
also
receiver.
drafted George Pickens and Calvin Austin.
Okay, yeah. George.
So
Pickens
it's just
did that
we
thing.
don't know who's going to be number 3 yet, but Miller is a slot receiver.
I saw A. Miller, and I was like, the only A. Miller I could think of is Anthony Miller, and I was like, "There's no freaking way he's their third wide receiver."
Yeah, he was there at the end of last year.
Was he really?
Mm-hmm.
The Bears cut him, or
He
was
caught
his
like
contract
2
up?
passes. The Bears traded him for a 5th-round pick to Houston before last season.
Oh, I guess I don't remember that.
Yeah, he didn't have the best work ethic in Chicago, so they got rid of him. Very talented player.
Yeah, high upside. They have a monster D line. T.J. Watt,
Dude.
Cam Hayward,
Yeah.
Jewett, Highsmith.
The question with their D line is the same as it's been the last 2 years. If they stay healthy, they're great.
Yeah,
Like they are great.
Minka Fitzpatrick, one of the best safeties in the league. Miles Jack joining that linebacker room with Devin Bush could be very, very good.
Devin Bush is a big question mark this year, though. He did not do well coming off the ACL last year.
Did he not?
No. Their GM has said as much. The GM's quote was pretty brutal. It was like,
Was it?
in our minds, there's 2 Devins. Devin pre-ACL injury and Devin post-ACL injury. And it's on him to prove to us which one is him.
That's pretty wild.
It's a pretty brutal quote.
They got DeMarvin Lil coming in. Loved him on the defensive line.
Yeah, honestly, they had a really good draft, I think, outside of pick 20.
Yeah, which is even crazier whenever you look at how the quarterbacks went down in that draft.
Yeah.
Because they could have. I mean, maybe other teams were high on Pickett too, and maybe Pickett was going first round no matter what. But when you see all these other quarterbacks, the next quarterback going in the 3rd round, it's like you could have traded your 6th round pick and moved up late 2nd, early 3rd, probably for hardly anything, and then instead of DeMarvin Lillard like Connor Haywood, you get Kenny Pickett.
Man, I don't got a lot more I can say about their quarterbacks. It's just, it's we've beat a dead horse a little. They're very similar players, and
I like
they
Trubisky
both
a
have
lot.
limited upside. I think.
I thought going into the season, I thought they were just gonna ride it with Trubisky. So, I mean, if Trubisky plays, I mean, granted, we didn't see much out of him last year, but I mean, he looked good in
in
shorts
preseason.
in preseason. I mean, he looked good out there
He
with
learned
Josh
from the
Allen.
best how to look in
How to wear
shorts. So.
shorts, yeah. Him and Josh Allen out there slinging the rock. So yeah,
Hey,
maybe he's good.
I'm rooting for him. I mean, he's already got chemistry with Miller. I mean,
Yeah,
Claypool's a big question mark this year. He has some
his
stuff to
titties.
prove. Claypool's got something to prove this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Deontay Johnson does as well.
I think Johnson's playing for a contract.
Yeah,
which is always a huge factor with these to consider here.
Pittsburgh drafts incredibly well at wide receiver, so I would assume George Pickens and Calvin Austin could possibly be their 1 and 2 by the start of next year, and they're both going to be all pros. And you're like, well, how did this happen? How did they do it again? And it's like, well, every year, everybody they draft's like, oh yeah, we just got another all pro wide receiver, just picked them right out like 7th round.
Now their O line is going to be a question. It's been a question.
Getting James Daniels helps out a lot, but the rest of that
it
offensive
helps
line.
Some. So as a Bears fan, I can tell you this: James Daniels is a good player. He's not a guy who changes your line.
No, but I mean, he's better than what they had.
He is. Kevin Dotson's got some stuff to prove this year as well. Like, he's a road grader of a run blocker when he's right. But he did not. After putting together a solid rookie season, he did not have a good second year.
Yeah.
Getting him back to guard should help. I think he was playing some tackle last year at points, or maybe he was playing tackle his rookie year. I don't recall which it was, but he's a big mean run blocker, but I don't know how much he can do in pass pro.
Yeah.
I love Dan Moore though. Dan Moore has some serious upside as a pass protection left tackle.
So let's talk about these odds for a second. Plus 270 to make the playoffs, plus 830 to win the division, plus 8,900 to win the AFC Championship, or 3,900 to win the AFC Championship, plus 6,600 to win Super Bowl. Anything that you like out of that group, or are you just staying away from the Steelers?
I get some real temptation to take Mike Tomlin to win the division or make the playoffs here.
Yeah, so this is a team that I would probably take just to make the playoffs. Probably wouldn't. I don't know if I'd spread.
But just at those numbers, like, those are solid. Like, Mike Tomlin, tell me there's a chance.
Yeah, and Mike Tomlin, the master of quotes, like, you give me red paint and I'm going to paint the barn red. And everybody's like, what? We're talking about the offense right now. So
it's like, but I got barn that needs to be painted.
Yeah, and I'm going to paint it red. Like, what don't you get? All-time quote guy. Love me some Mike Tomlin. So, yeah, I like that make the playoffs at plus 270 quite a bit.
And I'll be honest. We talked a little bit about this last week, but more with this week with this division, I feel like there are a lot of ways you can spread the board here, so you're making money. I mean, all these teams are plus odds to win the division. You can play with that. You know, Absolutely. You can find ways to finagle yourself into a really good position here.
Mm-hmm. So they get the Raiders out of the West, which out of all the teams in the West, that's probably the one you want to play.
Yeah.
And then who'd they get out of the South? Cleveland, New Orleans, Baltimore, Raiders, Tampa Bay, New England, Cincinnati, Jets, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Philly. So they get Philly out of the NFC East, which pretty solid. Indy. So they get Indy out of the South. That's kind of rough.
Oh, I always forget that Indy's in the South. I was looking at this. It's like, I don't see any South teams.
Yeah,
because Indy. I forget that Indy is south near the Gulf of Mexico. So
yeah, so they're 4 extra games, or they're 4 different games, or Raiders, Indy, then
you said it, didn't you? Who was it?
Philly.
Yeah, Philly.
Then the last one was Miami, Baltimore, Cleveland.
Raiders, Indy, Philly. Are there 4?
You get No, there's just 3. It's just 3.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
This new schedule throws me off so much.
17 is a weird number.
Yeah, because it used to be just 2 different
Unless
games.
you're talking about weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, it used to just be 2 different games in everybody's schedule that was different in the division. Now it's 3. So
Which honestly it gives you more variability when thinking through a team schedule. Like 3 game, one in the NFL, 1 game makes a big difference for these schedules, let alone 3.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's probably all we got for Blitzburgh Steelers. Let's move on to the Baltimore Browns. The
Art
OG
Modell's
Browns.
team.
Yeah, the OG Browns. The Baltimore Ravens. So, what's going on with this team?
Dude, so in draft coverage, I forgot that they signed Marcus Williams. I have no idea what they're going to do with Kyle Hamilton, but they're going to leave it to Harbaugh to figure it out, because he'll figure it out. They got the most stacked safety room in the NFL.
Yeah, Marcus Peters at cornerback, Marlon Humphrey at quarterback.
Now, it'll be interesting to see how Peters bounces back, because his injury, he tore 2 straight years, I think.
Yeah, but, I mean, 3rd time's a charm. Yeah, Linderbaum at center. They love to run that damn football.
They signed Zietler. He's a monster.
Ronnie Stanley's still very good. J.K. Dobbins.
If he's healthy.
J.K. Dobbins, one of my favorite running backs going into this year. Rashad Bateman might be good. Devin Duvernay might be good. They need a receiver. They need a receiver big time.
Well, the beauty of the Ravens is they only need 2 receivers at any given time, because they're not going to run any 3 wide receivers.
Yeah, they are rumored to get Jarvis Landry. They get Jarvis Landry, put him opposite of Rashard Bateman. They get Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is going to catch 85 balls. They're going to be fun if they get Jarvis Landry. And if they get Jarvis Landry and he goes back to the type of receiver he was with the Dolphins, I could see this team making some noise.
Even without him, I could see him making some noise. I think just with what they've got, you can see him. I mean, if their O-line comes back, if Stanley comes back healthy, plus Linderbaum and Zietler and Morgan Moses, you're talking about a very good O-line.
Yeah. So, out of the South, they get Jacksonville. So, pretty lucky for them. They get the Giants out of the NFC East. Pretty good for them. And then their last one, who'd they get out of the West? I'm guessing they got the Chiefs. No, Cincinnati had to have
Denver.
the Chiefs.
Denver. Which is a tough one.
God, but I mean, everybody in that division's tough. So
yeah,
I mean, they probably got the best draw out of.
Well, they get Denver at home too.
Yeah, out of varying opponents. I mean, you get the Giants, the Jags, and Denver. Not a bad draw.
Well, Jets, Giants, Jags, Falcons, Panthers. That feels like potential for 5 wins right there to me.
And then New Orleans. I mean, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think
a first-year head coach is going to be able to. But that is in New Orleans, so that kind of helps them a little bit. But I mean, Harbaugh usually clowns people in those situations, and then
that's true.
They got Cincinnati twice.
Harbaugh as a road dog, I think it was, is just outstanding against the spread.
Yeah. Very, very good. Lamar Jackson's at 84, 31 touchdown interception rating in the regular season, but a 3-5 touchdown rating in postseason games. Regular season Ferrari, postseason Pinto. Yeah, I mean, I love Lamar Jackson in the regular season. He is a regular season MVP. People don't talk about that enough. I like Lamar Jackson a lot. My biggest thing with Lamar Jackson is they got to figure out a way to calm him down and then get to the playoffs. He just tries to do too much. Yeah,
I think that's fair. One thing that just dawned on me with this offensive line that they got, they're going to be able to really vary this run game quite a bit. and the play action off of it. Like, I think they're going to do some fun stuff in the run game that'll be really fun to watch and really hard to stop.
Yeah, no, I like this. I'm big on J.K. Dobbins this year. We're going to be doing fantasy talk here in the next couple of months, and yeah, J.K. Dobbins is high on my running back list.
And adding David Ojabo to their pass rush whenever he gets back is going to be huge too. That was
Travis
a steal for them. Yeah, again, Travis Jones on the inside joining Matabuke, Pierce, and Campbell. Like, they're going to have a fierce D-line rotation. And then Owe and Bowser coming off the edge with Ojabo coming back eventually. Like, This defense could get real nasty real fast.
Absolutely. And then, all right, so looking at these playoff numbers and everything, so they're it looks like they're minus 129 to make the playoffs, plus 208 to win the division, plus 1125 for AFC Championship, and plus 2100 for Super Bowl. I like them to win the division. I like them and Cincy. I'd probably take them both. And then I'd bet on Pittsburgh to make the playoffs and not touch the Browns.
I'll probably put like 2 units on Baltimore, a unit on Cincy, and that to win the division. Or wait, I'll have to work out the math. There's a way I can play this to make sure I'm coming as long as one of the two works out.
It'd be two. If you're just doing those two, it'd be 2 units on Cincinnati because they're plus 100 basically. And then
are they? Okay, I was thinking they're plus
200, so you put 1 unit on them. And then
I was thinking they were pretty even.
You'd basically guarantee yourself to be up half a unit on either one.
Yeah, so that's what I'll do. I was thinking for some reason that Cincy was like plus 220 to win the division.
No, because then you could just put a unit and a half.
Well, then you're just like stuck on even. Like, whatever you put, like, you're just going to break even no matter what. That was my hesitation there. I was like, I want to make money, not just have the same amount of money for tying it up for, like, 6 months.
No, absolutely. But that's all I have here on the division. Is there anything else you want to talk about? You have anything you want to give a sneak peek behind your fantasy board or anything like that you've been building in your...
Yeah, sure. So once I get more projections out, I run projections from a few different sources, PFF and Draft Site. I can't remember the name. I'll look it up and mention it on the next pod. I don't think it's Sleeper that I get the projections from, but I use a few different sources, and I do my own numbers within it to kind of adjust where I think adjustments need to be made. And I run basically a calculation to weight the standard deviation of each position of how many points each, like say I'm looking at 5 different receivers, how far they are from the average receiver, and how many there are that are in a similar range as them, to weight kind of positional importance for these guys and mold it all into a big board that's just 100% math based. And I've won 3 league championships in the last 5 years with it. So I'm going to put that out on our website here in the next, whenever the numbers really start to flow through.
And we are in a very competitive league together. And I'll also be putting up my big board out of solidarity. We usually share with each other either way, but
yeah,
I will be putting up mine too. And mine, last year I was in 4 leagues. It won me 3 of them. The one league I didn't win was the one I was with you. And we kept taking each other's players. You got all the good ones, and I got all the bad ones.
Yeah. So, it was the snake draft, and we were drafting like, what was it, 11 and 12? Oh, 5th and 6. Oh, that was okay.
I had number 1 overall, so you were 2.
Okay, I was thinking a different league. So yeah, we just kept stealing each other's players. It was a good old time.
Yeah, maybe do a little talk of in a complete redraft. Where's the best position to draft? I said last year number 1 was the worst spot to draft, and the only league I had number 1 overall pick in, I got last place. So maybe I just talked myself into it. But I mean, I got Allen Robinson in the second round, followed by the running back that got hurt immediately. So,
also one of the really nice things about my board is you can input your league's rules for point scoring and how many roster spots that so we were a half PPR 2 QB league last year. So I
super flex league.
Yeah, super flex. So I had to figure out how to adjust my previous board to put in, the more positional important, like QBs weren't positionally important before, but now they are. The scarcity there. So there's ways to adjust for that within the board that I'll put out too.
Yeah,
So
y'all won't be getting that from me. Mine's going to be based on half point PPR for a 12-team league. That's it. That's what you get. You can do your own adjustments from there, but that's what you get from me.
Beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Monter St. Brown, number 5 on my wide receiver board for next year. Let's go. Don't sleep on the line.
Don't sleep.